Hello, Steve,
Hello.
and thank you for your time for freeformmusic.com. Today we will talk about your band, Snap Infraction. So my first question is, because you are two members, if I'm
Right.
right,
Yep.
how did you meet Tony? And can you tell us more about the very beginning of Snap Infraction?
Yes, Tony and I have known each other for a long time. Tony went to high school with my older brother, so they were in like high school bands together, and then so I was kind of always around. Um, and then when I got out of college, Tony asked me to join a band, just like a cover band, and which then evolved into we joined an original band out of New York City called Great Jones in like the early
Great
2000s.
Jones?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we did two albums, and then that kind of fizzled out. And then after that, we didn't really do anything, although I was always kind of writing songs for something. I don't know. I was going to do a solo album or whatever. And, I would just demo these songs at home, either with me playing drums or, programming the drums in the computer, but I always wanted a drummer. And I'd be sending these songs to Tony like all through this time. So, interested. And we just started recording. Like one night in like 2009, I went over his house, and one of our other friends were there, and we were just gonna like jam / record, and basically wrote like "Try to See It My Way," which was our first song, like on the spot. We recorded it, wrote it, recorded it. Like Tony mixed it the next day, and we released it. And then there was a long period of nothing. But not really nothing, but it's like nothing if you look at it on the surface. There was a lot of activity, but nothing out there. So yeah, we've known each other forever.
And where are you both from? Can you
We're both from the Philadelphia area. We grew up outside of Philly, and we still live about 45 minutes from each other, even though we barely ever see each other like ever in life. I mean, not even because of COVID, just even before that happened, we were rarely in the same room. So, but yeah, I mean, we both live in the same area.
And that's a big question for me. Why did you choose this name for the band?
So, Snap Infraction is an American football term. It's just a penalty, and we just we're both huge, and B, we have this running list of like band name, like 800 band names, and I'm sure every band has this. Like, oh, that would be a great. And we tend to like two words together that sort of sound similar, like Snap Infraction, and we had a called like Lunar Tuna. Like they don't mean anything, but they just sound okay. There's no real meaning to it. We just liked it, and now we're stuck with it.
Yeah. And what are your influences?
So we have a lot of overlap in our influences, but we come from two different kind of circles. For me, everything starts and ends kind of with the Beatles. Everything I do is like, what would George do in this instance, or what would Paul say here? What would Ringo play? Because I'll tell when I'm like describing the song to him, I'll be like, well, play these fills like Ringo would do, or don't use the cymbals. Tony's more like Zeppelin, Van Halen, that type of stuff, like a little harder rock, but we both like he also really
17, 18s.
yeah. So like he also loves the Beach Boys. So he loves the pop and the Beatles. So it all kind of
a special mix.
Yeah, it's a special mix. I love Oasis. So a lot of my songwriting philosophy comes from Noel Gallagher, for better or for worse. As far as some of the liberal borrowing of ideas from other artists. I was just watching an interview with him the other day where he was talking about when he played like cigarettes and alcohol for someone for the time, and they're like, that sounds exactly like T-Rex, and he's like, you don't say, like, yes, I know it sounds.
Let's do it.
T-Rex.
Yeah.
Do it anyway. So I kind of it to me as like a music fan, it's kind of cool to like listen to other artists and sort of spot the influences and be like, oh, they stole this from whatever, I don't know, T-Rex or David Bowie or the Beatles, but everybody steals from the Beatles. But yeah, that
and it seems to be that you like the IP and singles formats. Why, if I'm okay? If I'm right.
Yeah, when you asked this before, and you sort of said it's less pressure than putting out an album. So our first EP, Chin Music, was originally supposed to be an album. Part of the reason it took so long between our first single in 2009 to Chin Music in 2017 was we were doing all this work to make it an album, and it just wasn't coming together. And more and more people were, not everyone is shying away from the albums, but a lot of like independent music makers are doing more like singles and EPs and things like that. Kind of made it okay in our eyes to just like put out the 5 best songs we have, and this is what we have at the time.
And is there maybe
and just to get
is there maybe
go ahead.
less pressure than for a full album? Yeah,
definitely less pressure. Although, we did Chin Music, which was 5 songs, and then we did Stiff Arm, which was 5 songs. And plan for this year is to do a new single, 2 songs every 2 months.
Okay.
Which would seemingly be less pressure, but I realized the irony in the fact that we're releasing an album's worth of material in a year when we couldn't produce an album's worth of material in 8 years. So it doesn't make sense to me, but I was talking to a friend like just last fall, and we were talking about, releasing music and things, and the pressure or the amount of work that goes into making an album. And he was just like, just release a single, just, write songs, record songs, when they're ready, you put them out. So I was like, okay. And so I came up with this crazy idea that we'll just do one every 2 months, and then we'll have 6 singles throughout this year. And then in 2022,
maybe a full album.
But
next year. And Chin Music is for me a kind of patchwork of many different styles from different time. It starts with You'll Never Know. It seems to be modern, but we can find harmony for me from the 70s, Beatles, maybe. I am right?
Yeah, I mean, all of our stuff, we love the music of the 70s and the 60s. And, so we lean heavily on that stuff. And we like guitars and drums and harmonies. And that's what we stick to, with maybe some piano and organ in there every once in a while. you know, maybe I'll just write a song on piano and that will just stay throughout the song. But we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, I guess. We just like songs and we like guitars and we like drums. So yeah, as far as chin music being a patchwork of styles, it's funny that you mentioned that, because when we were sort of working on it as an album, I remember being at Tony's house one time when we were listening back to a few of the songs, and he was like, you know, it doesn't really seem to me like everything fits together. It's not like a cohesive sound or cohesive musical statement. And I, again, going back to the Beatles, I said, well, the White Album isn't a cohesive musical sound. There's styles all over the place. There's Blackbird and Shelter, there's Revolution number 9, and there's Revolution number 1. Like it only works because they said it worked, and we bought it and we listened to it in that form. Like I'm not, and it's not like we're going from, you know, jazz to bluegrass to hip hop or whatever. We stay within our lane, bars, bass, vocal. and you know, play around there. So you know, we both like different kinds of music, and I kind of feel like we can do whatever we want, and we want to make music that we would also like to listen to, even though I don't ever do it after it's done. But yeah, I mean, in theory, that's sort of the idea. It's like, we like this stuff and we like to make this stuff.
Because the Historian second single, Songs 19, maybe like the very beginning of Weather. And it's very strange because Weather is sometimes considered as a West Coast band, but they don't for me, no?
Yeah, we were just talking about Weezer last night, actually. They're one of those.
About the Historian, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, about this Historian, like that song came out of, actually, I was playing along with the Noel Gallagher song, and he added the capo on the second fret of his guitar, which he does a lot. And my fingers just landed on this, well, his song ended, so I was just messing around, and my fingers just landed on this opening chord, which I don't even know what it is. It's like a D major 7 or something. And then it just, the riff sort of came out of that. It was just like landed there, and then it turned into, or, you know, we made it into something. That was written like, it was written really quickly, and we recorded it like 2 or 3 times because we couldn't get the drums right or whatever.
Already.
But yeah, it was written and recorded fairly quickly. When we're inspired, we can work really quickly. Like,
for sure. And try to see it my way. What kind of style, after all, smooth punk rock?
I kind of classify it as like power pop. There was this band out of Canada who I love, and their name's Sloan, and they are they're just incredible. They've been around since, I don't know, 90 something, and are just continuing. Every album they put out is like strong. All 4 of them write, all 4 of them sing. They have harmonies. They do. I mean, they're a great band. So I think I had gone and seen them like a little bit before we recorded that, and I was just like trying to analyze their magic, and I was just like, so like direct, like just that riff, like, well, that riff, the da-na, whatever, it's just like simple and direct, and there's no frills. So we just built off of that, and then like I said, that was really written and recorded in like a night. It was and a long night, but it was a night. And then, so again, that was another one that sort of, well, that one came together super quick. And so, yeah, I mean, I would consider power pop. I mean, a little bit of punkiness, although we're kind of fake punk, I guess.
And is that the same for You Started All?
You Started It All. So
You Started All, yeah.
The original idea for Snap Infraction was going to be just like sort of like the White Stripes, where it's just really just guitar and drums and vocals.
Yeah.
And it was just going to be me and Tony and like whatever riff, and then he just plays along and I sing whatever nonsense. And so I was making a demo for that, and I was like, all right, well, this is cool. But I could not like hold back from like putting another guitar on or putting bass on, and then all of a sudden it becomes like a full band production. So that's where it came from. It was sort of like a White Stripes-y type thing, and then in the middle it kind of goes into like a Queens of the Stone Age sort of like heavy dirge. Like I kind of write some of these heavier songs just to keep Tony happy, because he likes the heavy stuff and I like the pop stuff, and so they both kind of mix. But yeah, I mean,
lots of guitars.
Yeah, lots of guitars.
Yeah, I can see some of them.
Yeah.
And for me, Window Seat is a very, very cool ballad for driving on a highway. Is it made for a radio?
Yeah. In my mind, they're all made for radio. It depends on what radio you're listening to. That one, I'd actually been going through like an old like pile of cassettes, and I found that like the opening 2 or 3 chords on a cassette I made like in 2000 or 2001 or something. I was like, oh, well, I should do something with that. And that was another one that once I found it, it took me 15 years to find that cassette. But once I found it and turned it into something, it came together pretty quickly, I think. Yeah, I mean, there's no real meaning to this. It's like I find the songs and then I struggle real hard with the words, and then, you know, hopefully something comes out.
And in Stiff Arm, your second IP from 2020, we can find something more rhythmic, maybe. No, this is not your life. Hypocrite, very punchy.
Yeah.
No, but a change. Yeah. There is some change.
The only real change I wanted to do from
for each song, yeah.
Oh, you mean individually the tracks within EP? There wasn't really any intention. That's just it came out. Some of them are pretty old songs. Yeah, Hypocrite. I think we recorded Hypocrite in like 2015, even before Chin Music came out. We had like the basic tracks, and then This Is Not Your Life was even earlier than that. That was just something, I don't know, one night it just demoed at home, and it was just there. Some of the other ones, Can You Hear Me Now was one of those. I had written a different song that was a lot heavier and had the same like melodic opening, but just faster and heavier. So I basically stole for myself and slowed it down, put it on electric piano, and turned it into Can You Hear Me Now? So we may eventually do that other song that I stole it from, but anyway. And the other two, it's funny how I'd had around for a long time, and Nobody's There is probably the newest one of that collection of songs. I had just been like was really getting into the Faces, and I wanted to write, I don't know, something Faces-esque, but it didn't come out that way. But I was just like messing around on the guitar one morning and like fell into that riff, the little do 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 do, and it just kind of grew from there. It doesn't sound anything like the Faces, but I'll keep trying.
Because there is a strange thing is we can have the feeling that the songs are longest than in your first IP, but in fact the timing is quite the same.
Yeah,
strange feeling.
I was looking at that this morning. Yeah, I try to keep things fairly concise. Like I don't. Now I'm gonna go back on my word here, but I try to not like extend songs for the sake of extending songs. Like if there's really only a verse and a chorus and a verse and a little guitar solo, and that's all that has to be said, that's all that has to be said. I don't need to turn it into a 4-minute like dance party. Single that's coming out is over 6 minutes long, and the single after that has a song on it that's over 6 minutes long. So I was lying, but yeah, we like short ish songs. Eventually we'll release a concept rock opera, I'm sure, but you know, for now I'm happy with the 3 to 4 minute format.
And it's for me, your second IP is less dark, more positive than the first one with Nobody Is There. It's funny how. What a cool song. And about Can You Hear Me Now? Many guitar riffs.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. It's funny that you say it comes across as more positive, which is good.
It's my feeling, just me.
Yeah. It's open to everyone's interpretation. It doesn't matter what I think. I don't know. I don't know, really. A lot of times I'll write lyrics and not know really what they mean until like after the fact, and sometimes many years after the fact.
In fact, you don't want to put a message in your songs, correct? It's right. It's come like not this. No, yeah.
Yeah, or if there's a message, it's like hidden so only I understand it. You know what I mean? Like I, but nobody else does, and that's the way it should be. I mean, I'm not going to say that's the way it should be because what am I to say? But you know, that's the way I like it. Like I know what something means, but I'd like to keep it as open-ended as possible so other people can have their own interpretation of what something means. Again, not really. I just writing words is so difficult for me. I'm just happy to get anything out because I labor over like, you know, is someone going to read too much into this, or you know, is someone going to really? It's just I do put a lot of work on that. In that the music sometimes comes a little bit easier, but yeah, I like stiff arm better than chimney, but everyone always likes their most recent stuff better than their older stuff because you're supposed to be, in my mind, you're supposed to be getting better as a songwriter, as a you know performer, as a recording artist. You know, we do all the recording and mixing ourselves, so it's like an exercise in how do we get better? How do we make this record sound better than the last one? So we're always trying to, you know, get
there is more freedom with this kind of work.
There is, but it's also a lot more work being the guy that presses the board and also plays the guitar and you know has to make sure that the singer sings the same words that the songwriter wrote, which sometimes doesn't even work, even though it's the same person. Like so it's a lot of work that way. And but it, like you said, it offers a lot more flexibility. We can kind of mix things how we see fit. And the great thing about, like, Tony is, among other things, an audio engineer. So like I'll send him a mix and he'll be like this, sounds awful. Where in my mind it sounded great. And then kind of go back and forth about, and until the mix, kind of comes into shape. So if I didn't have that, I'd be lost. So yeah, it's good. It's a good little, even though our workflow kind of stinks, like as far as we're never in the same room, and I, sometimes things are crazy as far as where files are and everything, but in the end, it works.
And so in 2021, you are back with 2 brand new singles, I Try My Best and the Ballad of Hector and Sarah. Because at the beginning, when I heard these songs, I thought it was a new IP, but not in fact. Yeah.
No, and we don't really announce these things to anyone. No one listens. But like I said, we were going to do another EP, and then like literally that conversation with a friend of mine in November or October of last year, when he said, just, don't do an EP, just do singles. And I thought, yeah, well, easy. It's not easy. But yeah, I mean, I'd rather, I like the immediacy of, just recording a song in like 2 months and getting everything together and releasing it. Sort of like John Lennon did with Instant Karma. He said, I wrote it in the morning, we recorded it in the evening, and then the next week it was in the shops. Like instantaneous, like creativity, and don't overthink it and that kind of stuff. Because we are the kings of overthinkers, which is why it took us 8 years from the first single to the first EP. It like just overthought everything to death, and I don't really like working that. I like I said with the Historian, it was like the riff came together. I think I wrote the lyrics the next day. I sent the demo to Tony. He cut the drums, and then we sort of like, well, we finished the first iteration of it, but we ended up recutting it. But it was just like the immediacy of that. Try to see it my way. Like some of these things, like I love, because that's like the creative rush. It's like, oh my gosh, like this thing is like actually coming together. It feels good. Like it's the greatest feeling in the world. And so that's this whole we'll release a single every 2 months thing is sort of building off of that. Like, don't sit on these songs, even though some of them we've been sitting on for a long time, but just finish them. Like, let's just finish, release, move on, and keep creating. That the goal, that excitement level, for us mostly, keep that going.
Because there is something very cool for us, that the thing that we can imagine a different world, a different story in each one of your songs, and that's why I said you are very creative. Because when we listen Liam Gallagher or Noel Gallagher's album, that's a very cool music, very cool songs, but it's always songs, Liam song and Noel songs. Right. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, so basically I try to borrow from both of them. Like, I mean, I'll literally, like, our next single that's coming out in April is very Oasis influenced. at least in my mind. And you know, I'll try. I can't. No one can sing like Liam. But you know, I try to get sort of like his inflection or his approach to singing, almost like acting. You know, just to get that. I mean, he has such an attitude and like a swagger to his vocal.
Parker, his Parker.
Yeah, Parker.
And the microphone. That, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Iconic.
So, on those guys, I mean, the Beatles are number one, like by a million. But yeah, I had my very heavy Britpop phase, and Oasis was up there. And I love Noel's solo stuff. I love Liam's solo. Two totally different things, which is, I want them to get back together for the sake of their relationship. I don't want them together as Oasis, because it's almost like having the best of both, with Noel doing his thing and Liam doing his thing. Liam sounds more like classic Oasis. Noel sounds more like whatever Noel wants to do. And I like them both. It doesn't have to be either or, just like it doesn't have to be Beatles or Stones. It can be both.
Yes.
They're all good.
This is the same for Lenny Kravitz, because at his very beginning, people said that he was a copy of Jimi Hendrix.
I don't care. If you're going to copy from the best, like Lenny Kravitz's first album, Let Love, that song, just that one song, if that's the only thing he ever did in his life, is major. I love that song. That and he did it all. That guy, he's crazy talented. And I don't care. Like, you know, like,
yeah, me too.
Said, well,
yeah, me
Oasis
too.
sounds like the Beatles. I don't care if the Oasis sounds like the Beatles. It just sounds like Oasis. I mean, they might take bits and pieces from the Beatles, but they take bits and pieces from Bowie and T-Rex and everyone too. It's fun.
And finally, what kind of image you want to show to your friends, if there is one, after all?
I don't know.
A cool band.
Rock and roll is still here.
Who produce 2 singles a month?
Yeah. There's still value in guitar and drums and live music, and you know, playing it, even though we use computers in the recording process extensively. The music is still made by humans, and electronic music is still made by humans in different ways. I love music, period. I don't like genre ever. If you're out there creating, then it's awesome. I love it. And
is there a possibility for us one day to see you on tour? I'm talking about 2022.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, given that we're only 2 people, I would say it's not likely. We played one gig. There was a festival called International Pop Overthrow, which is like they have these little festivals all over the world. I mean, it's crazy. It's run by this guy, David Bash, who is crazy music lover, journalist, like just insane. He's awesome. So they did one in Philly a couple years ago. It was a few months after we released Chin Music. So we played that. We put a band together for that, which was fine. But it was really just kind of a one-off thing. It was just like borrowing our friends' time. Like, we have a lot of musical friends, thankfully. And so it was just kind of borrowing their time. Like, hey, can you come to rehearsal? And I think we like rehearsed once, and you know, just kind of bashed it out. It was fun. And yeah, I don't know if anyone can put up with us except for us. I don't know if anyone wants us again.
So yeah,
So,
because actually we can find you on Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, Cobuz. No, I don't know. See, Cobuz.
I don't know.
No, it's a high definition. You know this this kind of listening music. It's give you the chance to listen music in HD, very high definition. So we can find you on the major streaming, and for sure, and in the stores too.
Not
No, not yet.
Not like not physical copies. Everything's just digital downloads and streaming for now.
No vinyls. No
vinyls yet. I would love to. Maybe when we actually do an album, if we ever do that. Or I mean, I've thought about like sort of compiling like Chin Music A side, Stiff Arm B side, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if we haven't heard it.
So my last question is, how many guitars do you have?
Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3. I don't really have that many. So
5, 6.
Yeah, like 2 for the longest time, and then over the last couple of years, I've been slowly acquiring like real cheapy ones. Like I was
oh yes,
this one. This one, my parents, it was together yesterday, but my parents found this in their attic when they were cleaning out their attic, and I have no idea where it came from. No one knows. I asked my brother, I asked Tony, our other friend Dave, I asked everyone I knew who played guitar. No one knows. No one claimed it. So anyway, this one that's like my project guitar. I'm gonna paint it, put pickups in it, and I'm sure it'll never work, or it'll just be a pile of guitar parts for the rest of its existence.
Another project.
Six
right.
Guitars and whatever.
Very cool. So Steve, I would like to thank you very much for your time, your answers. Like I said, I had I listened all your IP and singers, and this is very, very, very interesting music. So very cool songs, and
awesome.
And I wish you the best, sincerely, for the future. We all hope that the COVID will not be there in 2022, because we are a little tired, in fact. So yes, maybe one last question. Do you think that there will be more creativity and more freedom for artists with Joe Biden, or it's not a question of politics?
It's not really a question of politics. I think art. My hope, art flourishes no matter what. Like the flowers that grow from the cracks in sidewalks. Like it just finds a way out, no matter what. And if there's, as long as there's creative people in the world, which there always will be, there will be a way to express creativity through art, and I welcome all of it. I mean, some people complain about like there's too much music out there, or I don't know where to discover stuff or whatever, but like, and I complain about it too, believe me, I love complaining, but in my mind, I love the fact that there's a kid with a laptop in a bedroom that can release music to the world and become and get a
from everywhere.
or 10 million listeners. It's great. That's the lowering of the barrier to creativity, and you don't need major labels and all that stuff. So yeah, I think regardless of who's in charge or wherever you are, I think creativity will flourish, or at least that's my hope.
Okay, so thanks again, and take care for sure.
All right, take care.
Bye bye, Steve.